Hey YouTube, my name's Thomas, this is my channel, and I wanted to go over my music. I've never done this. I've never shared my work within Fruity Loops or the software I use, but since I'm using this music as my intro music, I thought maybe some of you would be interested in how this whole process goes, what it's like to create music. Because working with free music can be kind of hard. You might not find exactly what you like. It might not be your style. It might not be right for the video. So why deal with that when you can make your own? I wanted to show you my intro music. I only use, the first 8 bars to do the intro, but I fleshed out a whole song after that. So maybe you guys will like it, find it interesting. But let's get right into it. I'm going to let you guys listen to the song first, and then I'll break it down, let you know what I did, and maybe it'll be a little bit more clear.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play? Play the fields for another rainy day. Beautiful dreamer, what do you see? When you're staring out the window, do you see me?
I'm going to stop it there. Pretty much just repeats. You can see the track is built pretty symmetrical. So I follow kind of this 4 pattern where I have my intro here. I have 3 more 8 measures, and then I repeat it all. But now you know what it sounds like totally. And my process usually begins with a simple sample or some chords. But let's take a listen to that alone. So that's the first half of the starting sample. Kind of just repeats. It's a really short one. Really simple chords. I like to build my songs off of simplicity, just using building blocks. So really that sample caught my attention. I pulled that off of Splice, which is an awesome website or software as well. If you sign up, you pay monthly, and then you get royalty-free samples that you can mess with, make your own. So that's what I did here on this second half. I used a plugin called Gross Beat, and from my knowledge, you're supposed to just throw those on drums for the most part, but I like to throw them on samples and other instruments because it kind of repeats notes and messes with the time signature or the timing of the sample relative to certain beats or measures. So you can hear what's happening there. You have this really simple sample, and then so you can see it starts to give that plucking feeling. It sounds like there's extra notes in it, and that's because of the gross beat. If I open it up, oops, you can see this is playing back that first part, and then it just has this kind of pattern that you can actually then copy over to other parts of your music. So you'll see here, after I added this first sample, I move on to drums. This is generally how I build my tracks up. I have a beginning sample, and then I start to flesh out the beat, really get the groove in there by adding some drums. It can really help direct you where to go next. So what you can hear on this is the extra snare hits. Poop, poop, da, 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 da. So what you can hear here is your extra snare hits. I've added gross beat. So what that does is, here is the original sample. Just a really regular 4-beat pattern. And then with the gross beat, you can see it's added those extra snare hits, gives it a little bit more groove. And now we have a track going. So generally what I do next, depending on what you find or what you're inspired by, I think I found these vocal samples, pulled those off a Splice as well, and started playing around with them. This original one is what you hear in the intro.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play? Fairy tales for another rainy day.
So that's really clear, really easy to hear. I've only added some reverb and some other things to the vocals. And so I'm just going to kind of follow that pattern, especially with those are the vocal samples I've cut up from Splice 2 and kind of rearranged, done some heavy effecting on them, because for the most part, lyrics from Splice kind of suck. So you can EQ the high end out, try to make it sound like it's muffled, and then you're not going to have to deal with the lyrics, just the melody of the vocals kind of taking over. It's a really nice tool. So I've added some really simple bass here. We have 2 patterns. By the way, I didn't explain what you're looking at and what's painted here, but these with notes are something that I've played. So I have a MIDI keyboard here, so I can play notes right into the software here, and then anything that doesn't have this note structure are samples. You can see the audio kind of, meter there showing you exactly what that sound profile looks like. So added some really, really simple bass. Really simple. It's practically just a scale. So again, I've copied that gross beat from the original sample. That makes it sound like it's plucking. And I've added it to the bass. So now this really simple bass scale sounds like this. And kind of gives it a little bit more groove. It sounds weird all alone, but when we reintroduce the elements that we already have, it sounds really nice. We have a little bit more complex bass pattern here. Yeah, and I didn't want to have just that plucking bass sound. I wanted to have some kind of transition, and when you're changing the melody, you kind of want to change that bass sound with it. The other thing we have here is some high piano. So and that doesn't really follow the melody at all. I am just kind of making accent notes, something on the high end, because it's a lot of mid-range and low-range sounds. So when there's something missing, try to find something that you can do. I think later on I added some synth to add in that high end. It's really just following that bass pattern, but I also put gross beat on this as well. I want this to be cohesive, so this is what it sounds like with that plucking pattern. But yeah, it seems like the last note here sounds a little weird because of the gross beat. It's doing something a little weird. I'll have to fix, but can't detect it in the rest of the song. So Another thing I really like to do is once you've gotten your drums in there, you can build your whole track. But at some point you want to come back and do some drum breaking. Generally what I do on big sample changes, like from the bass sample sound, I like to take out that last beat and add a drum break. Right here I just have an open hi-hat sound, that kind of splash sound, and it helps transition. You want to break up repetition as much as possible any way you can. So I've done that with gross beat, just cutting out some notes and putting new ones in. That's the majority of the track here. Like I said before, I follow this 4 pattern, so to make this song repeat and come back, I wanted to add some effects, kind of assist in making those transitions really effective. So the first one here is actually, I'm going to isolate, is just a vinyl crack. And the reason I added that here is because those clear vocals,
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play?
sound like they could come from a record. She kind of has this old-timey voice, this cadence.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play?
And so I added some vinyl crack because I have a reverb on her voice and kind of takes out that low end.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play?
You can really hear the echo.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play?
Now that echo is kind of muted by this additional sound there, so it has this really nice effect. The other thing I have is a riser, and after I introduce you to the new components of the song, I want you to get excited. So this riser here is it's kind of like to raise expectations, get you excited for what's to come, and so that's what's... Sorry guys, let's hear that a little bit. And to pair with that is a payoff. It's really loud. Oops. So all that is some thunder and then a gunshot. And that's just to give that really loud clap sound and to make it kind of sound surround sound. When you're doing a rise like this, you want to have some kind of payoff. And I feel like that's achieved here. And the last effect. So, like I said, I did a repetition here. Basically, just took this front half, pasted it on this other side, and I want to assist in, just repeating. I don't want it to feel like it's just happening. I want it to feel like there's a reason. And so I put this gasp here because the clear vocals come back in. These are all muffled and chopped. And so it's kind of like she's taking a breath before coming back in, add some character, even though I've never worked with this person. These are just sounds. So it just adds a little bit more realism to it. Maybe not realism, but adds some character. And your final result sounds something like this.
Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play? Save yourself for another rainy day. Beautiful dreamer, what do you see? When you're staring out the window, do you see me? Beautiful dreamer, won't you come and play? Save yourself for another rainy day. Beautiful dreamer, what do you see? When you stand out the window, do you see me?
All right, so that's the full track. Hope you guys enjoy content like this. Not sure if you've ever been inside of a music software or a DAW and seen it in action. A lot of people use Ableton, Kenny Beats. I've just always used Free Loops. It's what I know. You really can use anything, but if you're into music, start creating now. All these softwares are free to begin, and once you get better and better and want to use more things, you can buy into them. And let me know if you like the song. I always link the songs I make and use on my content, so you guys have access to it, can listen. I think you can download off of SoundCloud as well. I do upload music to Spotify. I have a few albums on there. So if you guys ever want music on Spotify, let me know, and I'll get it distributed as fast as possible. Just wanted to do an intro for those who aren't a subscriber, see what's going on in the channel. I don't just make gaming videos, I also make music. So, peace.